you know when you're ready.
Thank you, Daddy.
I have your blessing.
If making it easy to be an illegal alien isn't enough,
government is another way to say better than you.
In fact, you know how fast a 5-cent hooker goes down.
no sane country would do that.
Cruz and Kasich are in it for a participation trophy.
Oh, what you represent to them is freedom.
Hosted by the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash.
Just remember, all hate mail comes to me.
The Southside Mutt Show.
Cheerleader. I don't have the boots for it.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome to the Southside Mutt Show, hosted by the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, and we are digging up the dirt on the news. Looks like Crash is going to be MIA tonight, but he does have a very good reason this week. One of the few times he does. It's his daughter's birthday. He said he's going to try to call in. We'll see. It doesn't matter. It's his child's birthday. I'll give him a pass this week on it. It's the rhetoric is just swirling around. And we'll get into what I'm talking about, the rhetoric, in a minute. What I want to talk about is Obama has granted clemency to Chelsea Manning, who changed his name from Bradley to Chelsea after having a sex change in prison, military prison, paid for by the American taxpayer. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Chelsea Manning was charged and convicted and sentenced to 35 years in prison for leaking classified military documents to WikiLeaks. At which this current president, Obama, has now commuted the sentence to Chelsea Manning. So what this president said and what the Democrats are saying is it's okay to leak documents to WikiLeaks when it hurts the Republican Party, but they're going to cry like little bitches when WikiLeaks exposes the Democrat Party. And that is exactly what Obama just did there. He said it's perfectly acceptable to leak top secret classified information that got people murdered. People died over those leaks. But it's not okay to expose the corruption in the Democrat National Committee. And if I were Trump and I were every single Republican, I'd be jamming that down their throat right now as 68 House Democrats plan on protesting the inauguration because of Russia and WikiLeaks. Well, guess what? Obama just stuck it right up your ass because now you don't have no legs to stand on because it shows your hypocrisy. You had no fucking problem when WikiLeaks exposed what top secret documents. But when it showed your emails, you cry like a little bitch. Absolutely amazing. Amazing. You're fine with that. I hear some of the Democrats, they're rumbling in the background. Oh, my God, no, this isn't good. He's going to expose us. Oh, and it gets worse with these, what's going on with the inauguration. Because now we've found out through Project Veritas, and a side note, I will have gentleman Russ from Project Veritas will be calling into the Reverb Common Sense show tomorrow at 11 o'clock, where we'll discuss both videos that drop. And, well, since I don't have Crash here today, we're going to jump situations. Actually, let me just finish. And it's almost pretty much done because it's going to piss me off otherwise. This exposure and releasing Chelsea Manning from prison. He also released a bombing terrorist from the 70s, a Puerto Rican nationalist, who was setting off bombs in the United States. Or he was part of a group, I should say. Oh, that's okay. I mean, he's just screaming my hypocrisy. Look at my hypocrisy. He's been releasing violent criminals from prison early, drug dealers, and trying to dump Guantanamo Bay of all the terrorists as fast as he can. I'm amazed. And now we have more of the hypocrisy of the left and the quote-unquote peaceful protesting that was scheduled. Ooh, something just popped up new from Veritas. So let's going to jump in here and play it for the first time.
O'Keefe with Project Veritas. After we released these few videos exposing Disrupt J20, we have a couple updates for you. First, our attorney met with the Terrorism Task Force detective this morning. The representative from the U.S. Attorney's Office was also going to be attending, and our attorney reports to us that they are looking at the full footage. They are investigating, they're analyzing the tapes and the batches of emails we sent them, so they contacted us last night. Looks like there's been some legal developments. Also, U.S. News and World reports that Disrupt J20 has dramatically scaled back their plans to block the flow of traffic as a result of the undercover videos. This is this man named Legba Carafor who was caught on tape talking about chaining down the metro trains, which is clearly a terroristic act. That's in addition to all the butyric acid they're going to plan to put into the vent shafts of the National Press Club tomorrow night. Also, the Deplorable organizers have informed me that a couple of these people are actually signed up to be at the Deplorable. They have refunded their tickets and have filed restraining orders and civil charges against these organizers. This all happened in the last 24 hours. Finally, perhaps the most fascinating development is I just got off the radio with Sean Hannity and the author of this Huffington Post piece about the supposed counter-sting of one of our reporters a few weeks ago that had nothing to do with this. I was expecting a hostile debate with this Huffington Post writer, Ryan Grimm. Ryan endorsed Project Veritas and said that he thought we did great work with the J20 group. Shocking, but not shocking to me, because this was all very true. The law enforcement says it's true. Now the Huffington Post says that this is all true. Will CNN and Fox News put it on TV, that's your job. Tweet this out, tweet at all the anchors, and ask them to play this footage, which is being reviewed by the FBI, the Secret Service, and counterterrorism as I speak, and let's get this on television. Let's try to protect people tomorrow and Friday.
Now you ask, what the heck's going on that's so serious? And it is pretty serious. I mean, it's serious enough that they got the FBI involved in this. And counterterrorism. D.C. Metro is now, several of their guys will be carrying bolt cutters. And you're going to ask him why if you haven't seen the videos. As he said, Deplorable has threatened legal action. I mean, this really blew up and is it very important? There's violence called for, terrorist activities, and Disrupt J20 at first tried to downplay this, but has since they're scaling back their tactics and what they're attempting to do. And I'm trying to find it, and I'm sorry. You know, and the whole thing was it was a joke. We knew we were being filmed. We set them up. But yet there was emails going on in the background that, where the heck? That was saying that they got exposed. Dang, where did these? Oh, I had it earlier. It gets a little hard trying to find some Twitter stuff. I apologize for this. I had this earlier today with no problem. Now, let's see if I could. Aha. Is this it? Okay, this is tape 1.
Yeah, if you had a freaking pint of butyric acid, I don't care how big the building is, it's closing it.
And I know you can bear butyric acid.
And this stuff is like, it's very efficient. It's very, very smelly. It lasts a long time, and a little of it goes a long way. I know. I'm trying to think through how to get all the sprinklers throughout the once.
I want to point it out: butyric acid in an aerosol compound can be explosive.
Usually a piece of like fusible metal or a piece of glass and a liquid in it, it'll blow.
This is undercover video of potential criminal acts being planned. These organizers and activists are talking about setting off butyric acid into the ventilation system and setting off fire alarm sprinklers at a Trump inaugural ball later this week. What you're about to see is part 1 of our hidden camera investigation into the groups and organizations that seek to cause havoc and violence at the Trump inauguration in Washington, D.C.
I, Ronald Reagan.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
Please lock the doors. Please lock the doors. Lock him, lock him, lock him. Don't let them in.
Hey, I just want to say one thing to the person on the phone.
Can you please move
Bob
out of
Kramer
my way?
sends his regards.
The next 4 years, we are going to fight Trump and everything he stands for with no quarter asked, no quarter given, no mercy of any kind.
Throw them all under the bus. I mean, just fuck it up. I like the idea of the goal being that they have to pull the inauguration inside.
Be prepared to help make the inauguration a giant clusterfuck.
Oh yeah, warning, there is language
Shortly
on
after the
these
election,
videos.
we started getting tips that radical groups are planning to derail President-elect Trump's inauguration. perhaps even trying to shut down the city of Washington, D.C. Various groups, some old, some new, have gathered together under the Disrupt J20 umbrella. Progress Unity Fund, Workers' World Party, Americans Take Action, Answer Coalition, and many more. Today's investigation focuses on these guys from the D.C. Anti-Fascist Coalition.
The message has to be that, we do not recognize the city government either. If you try to close this down, we will look for your house, we will burn it. We will physically fight the police if they try to clear one of our places. We will go to war, you will lose.
Early on, one of our journalists was sent an email inviting him to a planning meeting. The discussion centered around disrupting the Deplorable, a big pro-Trump inaugural ball scheduled the night before the inauguration.
I mean, it would be really interesting if we could stop them from having a Deplorable in Hall. Yeah.
It was at this meeting where we met Scott Green, Luke Kuhn, and Colin Dunn. They were very gung-ho and clearly well-versed in the dark arts of sabotage.
We already know what we're all there for, so we won't be... Okay, so we don't have to use the word deplorable at all. Yeah. And things like that. So just in case there are yahoos in there...
Through emails, another meeting was set up at the infamous Comet Ping Pong Pizza Restaurant in Northwest Washington, D.C.
I was thinking of things that will ruin the evening, ruin their outfits, or otherwise make it impossible to continue with their plans, make sure they get nothing accomplished.
The Deplorable is being held here at the National Press Club in downtown Washington, D.C. The plan set off butyric acid stink bombs, forcing everyone to evacuate the premises.
Yeah, if you had a freaking pint of butyric acid, I don't care how big the building is, it's closing. It's staying closed for a while.
And this stuff is it's very efficient. It's very, very smelly. It lasts a long time, and a little of it goes a long way.
If you repeated the original plan, we could use all that same stuff. And I can rig the cans with a plunger, some stiff rubber bands, and a safety pin thing. So all you got to do is pull the pin and press the plunger, the whole can discharges.
This is the way we have to brainstorm to think of what can we do that will accomplish the mission.
So that is bad enough. That stuff is nasty enough that it will spread.
It will get into the HVAC system and hit the whole building.
The best possible location to get to it is the air intake grill for the entire HVAC.
Yeah.
The actions could constitute a violation of anti-terrorism laws, a felony with a possible 5-year prison sentence and a significant fine. As the meeting continued, Colin Dunn and Scott Green made a plan to scout the location where the Deplorable is being held.
You want to case the place?
I can do that.
I mean, you want to do it together?
Say, it may work better with two people. That way it's not one person's memory saying, here's where everything is.
Yeah.
There was also talk about setting off the fire alarm sprinklers in the building. Plan B, if the stink bomb effort failed.
I know, I'm trying to think through how to get all the sprinklers through at once. There's usually a piece of fusible metal or a piece of glass and a liquid in it that'll blow. I need to research and make sure that we can actually get them to all trigger if we trigger one. Yeah. And the added benefit, everybody as they walk outside will get freezing cold.
Yes.
A few days later, our journalist received this email from Scott Green. Quote, "The reconnaissance went pretty well, and we left with the confidence that we can accomplish our objective with no negative consequences for our side, nor any collateral damage. We determined that the risks posed by these potential crimes were of such a magnitude that we decided to alert law enforcement. Last week, our journalist met with agents from the FBI, the Secret Service, and the D.C. Metro Police to report our findings.
We found that both the Disrupt J20 and the D.C. Anti-Fascist Coalition were plotting to shut down some of the inaugural balls that were occurring, using butyric acid, shutting off sprinkler systems. So we're thankful that the FBI and the task force is looking into this, and we hope that there will be charges brought soon.
Just to be clear, we don't have a problem with people protesting peacefully or voicing their First Amendment rights. That's protected by the Constitution. But in this case, Disrupt J20 says openly that their plan is to shut down the inauguration. The question is, where do these people draw the line? Do these individuals and groups have any problem with what we're reporting here? Stay tuned, because next we go deeper and deeper into the dangerous world of Disrupt J20, and we find out just who is behind all of it.
And that's it, just video 1. Video 2 goes into some other stuff, and we actually Crash called in, and hey, how you doing, Crash? Hold on. Shit. There we go.
I'm going to try to stay on for the whole show, but we'll see what goes on.
Well, like I told everybody, it was one of your little Rugrats' birthdays, so it's excusable.
Yeah, well, that and ended up having a death in the family, too, so it's kind of, I'm on both ends of the spectrum tonight.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I just got the details on it about 10 minutes ago, actually. So I hadn't even had a chance to tell you yet.
My condolences.
Anyway, so I appreciate it. So what's going on?
Well, talking about the first video from the Project Veritas that specifically talks about they were going to try to put the, what is it, butyric? Which one was it? Butyric acid?
Butyric acid.
Butyric acid. I keep screwing it up.
With a B.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been saying
butyric.
butyric.
It up. Yeah, but it keeps sounding like butyric and like butyric acid, butyric acid. That's actually something in your blood that causes things like gout, stuff like that. It's very common in alcoholics, things of that nature. That's why I was getting kind of screwed up when you were telling me about it. I was like, why the hell are they using that?
Well, this is it's abbreviated
now it makes sense.
It's BTA. Where was it? It's a product of anaerobic fermentation, including in the colon and body odor. It is also found in chocolate milk products by Hershey process. Additive to imitate the flavor of Hershey's chocolate. It's also present as the main distinctive smell in human vomit, which is kind of funny. They use it to make chocolate, but it's also human vomit.
It's the active ingredient in stink bombs that I'm sure most of us have had experience with in our youth. However, I just pulled it up real quick because I was curious about something, and I was right. In its natural state, now depending on what form, because just like anything else, you have different purity levels. I mean, like isopropyl alcohol, you get 90%, 100%, 70%, and it goes all the way down. So depending on the concentration factor, also can obviously impact how severe it is. But the actual health labeling, the NFPA system that I know you're as familiar with as I am.
I'm actually looking at it right now.
And what is the health number?
It's a 3, 2, and a 0. I'm looking at
it's a level 3 for health. Level 4 is the maximum for health issues. The NFPA scale only goes up to 4. This is a level 3. This can cause a lot of health problems in its more pure state. The lethality, I didn't look up the
lethality dosed is 2,000 milligrams per kilogram. And the explosive limit explosive limits is 2.2 to 13.4%.
13.4%. So placing... What's up?
In other words, this stuff, used wrong, inappropriately, accidentally, is...
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, okay, so 2,000 milligrams per kilogram. That, I mean, you and I both know that is quite a bit. However, based on what they were talking about as far as the induction system, they were going to put it in sprinklers. Well, everybody's used to, I mean, that's supposed to be water. That's supposed to be non-harmful. People are not going to be worried about that getting in their eyes, getting in their mouth, getting in their their nose, inhaling it. I mean, reaching a 2,000 milligrams per kilogram would not be overly far-fetched, and I'm not sure that's something they thought about. Plus, look at the explosive limit. I mean, a 2.3 to 13.4%. That's now depending on how it's atomized in the air, and by using its sprinklers distribution system, that would be fairly easily obtainable.
There's a candle in the room.
You've reached that right concentration, and something sparks. There's a pilot light. It's in the kitchen. Whatever the case might be, you could end up with an explosive atmosphere. I mean, I'm sure I'm willing to bet the reason they picked this substance was for the foul odor and, it's in stink bombs and,
well, real quick,
stink bombs aren't problems.
European Union classification also has it as a corrosive. and marked off as harmful.
But it's an acid.
Yeah.
Anything that's an acid is a corrosive by definition.
Flash point is 160 to 162 degrees Fahrenheit. That's
which I mean, you wouldn't hit that in an ambient, any environment where there's going to be human exposure. We're not going to be at temperatures at that extreme.
Yeah, but I'm talking if it's very common for these to have candles and all that, and with it being atomized.
Well, yeah, that's why I'd be more worried about the flash point, about it, getting that quick flash fire opposed to an actual explosive environment. However, and this is another thing that a lot of people don't take into account. Heat is generated by friction. It's generated by induction, by conduction. There's radiant heat. There's lots of different forms of it. So even though the final location where you want it to come out is at normal ambient temperatures, it doesn't mean that it traveling through the system is not going to be introduced into an environment that is at much higher degrees. I mean, if for whatever reason, if those sprinkler pipes are going to a boiler room, boiler rooms can be very hot. And
let's also, I want to bring up the fact, how about if they're the mass panic it might cause when people smell it, they might think terrorist attack, and then you got mass panic on your hands.
Honestly, I'd be more worried about. I mean, and honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, because thinking about this from a response standpoint, I would be more worried about people vomiting. This inducing a vomiting reaction on people. So you've got the possible asphyxiation hazards, especially in the elderly and the very young, that may not have the ability to properly clear their airway immediately on their own. I would be very worried about the mass panic and the stampede effects.
That's what I was getting to.
People getting trampled to death. People going through plate glass windows. People that are 2 stories up panicking and thinking that it's safer to jump out of a balcony window or off of a balcony because, it's only 2 stories, and they don't think about the fact that, 2 stories in an industrial building is taller than a residential building. I mean, you're talking 20-plus feet in the air. That is more than enough to break your legs, break your back. If you land wrong, it can fucking kill you. Pardon the language. But, I mean...
I want to jump real quick.
Crap.
There is other aspects that they had plans to do, and one of them was to use chains on the train system, the subways. So when a subway stopped, they chained it in place. That, underneath several titles, is terroristic activity to mess with a train like that.
Any tampering with a mass transit system in the United States is classified as terrorism. Buses, trains, airplanes, any of it. If it's mass transit and you interfere with it, with that type of intent, it is classified as terrorism.
And then also in the second video we didn't get to yet is, or was it in the first one, the throat punching. If you see Nazis, they'll be in packs. That's when they're dangerous. But if you outnumber them, they're going to be a bunch of pussies. And there's one guy asking, when can I start throat punching? Throat punching. And then it's the way these guys are. Number one, I'd like to know the guy that's running the meeting, how many Nazis he's actually been around. And if he's been around that many, I'm questioning his loyalties. It's, oh my God, get your head out of your ass. They were just promoting violence, and then it was, we knew we were being filmed, so we staged these events.
Yeah, I'm not buying that, and I know you're not either.
No, because they also started sending around emails afterwards, not realizing they were still sending it to the people that were the spies, saying how they were compromised, and basically they need to stand down. It's oh my God, you freaking idiots. You're sending it out, acknowledging that this was real. The one lady actually sent out a tweet saying it's not a prank because someone said, we're not buying this as a prank, and she said, no, it isn't a prank. It's like, you're dumb. They just want to be caught for this.
No, see, here's the thing: and in all honesty, I mean, this is a society problem. That's how I look at this. I look at this as being a society problem. that was perpetrated by one part of society, and it's just continued to exacerbate. I mean, this is essentially a monster of our own creating, and it has grown out of control.
Yeah.
I look at everything that's been going on over the past few years. Okay, we've had all these riots, we've had all these protests, we've had all this stuff. Now, how many arrests have ever been made? Okay, when Boston was burned, how many people were arrested for the looting, for the bombing, for the assault, for the shooting? It was all happening during these mass demonstrations, so everybody acted with impunity. They did the same thing in Chicago. They did the same thing in Ferguson. I mean, it's become their way of thinking. They did it in Arizona. I mean, other than the few poster childs that end up getting arrested on the news, nobody's ever prosecuted for any of this. So they feel like they can act with impunity.
But
like
what
said,
they don't realize is the new administration.
You get enough of us, they can't touch us. That's what they're using. And they've literally, and again, society has browbeat law enforcement to the point where law enforcement has to second guess when they act on a situation. Are they now going to be going to jail because of social pressure and because of social justice, not criminal justice now, social, which I find comical, just that definition alone, because social justice changes based on the society norms in the area. So what I consider justice is not what somebody else would consider justice. So social justice is complete bullshit. It's completely subjective. And it's absolutely asinine. Mm-hmm. And they're now taking these exact same tactics, which, yes, they have worked. They have worked very, very well for these individuals all this time. Now they're taking these tactics. They're going to go to the United States Capitol during the inauguration of a new president, and I'm sure what they're hoping is we'll do all the disruptions underneath the old administration. So worst-case scenario, it's still underneath Obama's regime, and we don't have to worry about it. It won't be the Trump administration. Well, here's the other thing, and I think they're really failing to realize, is they're also not going up against a small contingent of National Guard that were called out for some of the riots in the South. They're not going up against the local police forces that they've browbeat in certain areas. They're going up against a completely different police force that's been in charge of protecting our capital. And while I do disagree with a lot of their policies, it's still a different animal. And they're going up against the goddamn U.S. Secret Service, whose sole job is to maintain security around the president.
Yeah, I know. Well, the other thing is they're used to going on regular property, and they don't realize that they're in federal territory.
Well, you know what? For all those, they're not realizing they're in federal territory. I'm going to point something out really quick to them. A little bit of recent history.
Ooh.
A lot of these were the same people that were yelling and screaming about those armed militia in Oregon. They took over a federal building. We should raid it. We should just send tear gas in, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was on federal property. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't a United States citizen killed? And actually, that was the only violence that occurred was during that final incident. He was killed by law enforcement.
Which has been under investigation.
But he was killed by law enforcement, which was all stemming from an incident on federal property. And there was pretty much no hostility up to that point. So now these knuckleheads think that they can actually incite violence on federal property, and they're going to get the same pacified treatment that they've gotten in all the state areas? Are you freaking retarded? I mean, I hate using that word, but seriously, come on now. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, how many civilians were killed in Chicago, in Baltimore, in the Ferguson, in any of those riots? How many civilians were killed by law enforcement? I know you may not have the exact numbers in front of you, but I think it was a staggering 0.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Well, I'm going to blow your mind real quick, and then we're going to go to break and let you stew off
I
break.
really don't ever want to hear you use, I'm going to blow you in a sentence referring to you
No,
ever
you're
again,
mine,
please.
you perv. You perv.
Yeah.
So
I
part
got
of the pardons and commuting that Obama did today, I spoke briefly earlier about Chelsea Manning. He also pardoned a one of those radicals from the 70s that he was part of a group that set off hundreds of bombs in the United States. And there was a liberal on Fox who compared...
Hold on. I'm sorry, I hate to interject. With Chelsea Manning, it was not a pardon. It was
a commute.
Commutation.
Yeah, commuted.
He commuted a sentence. He didn't pardon. Well,
yeah.
There is a difference. Now, the guy that did the bombings, did he commute the sentence or did he actually pardon it?
I'm not sure on which.
That one I didn't.
Oh.
That one I didn't hear about.
Yeah, he's the Puerto Rican nationalist that was. I'll look it up in a minute, but the liberal on Fox likened him to our founding fathers in the Boston Tea Party.
You mean as the guy that the founding fathers were going up against during the Boston Tea Party?
No. He likened him to Thomas Jefferson. He specifically said that one name, and he kept referring to the Boston Tea Party. He likened because he was doing these bombs in the name of Puerto Rico.
Oh, wait, hold on. He likened the terrorist to Thomas Jefferson? I thought you meant Obama.
No. He likened this terrorist. Well, it was not the 1970s. This guy did the bombings. AFL, something like that. FALN member Oscar Lopez Rivera. He was commuted today. This gentleman was part of a group that set off over 100 bombs during the 1970s, and he was labeled a terrorist. He was serving more than 50 years in prison for plotting to overthrow the U.S. government. The group he belonged to was the Armed Forces of National Liberation, and the group often fought for Puerto Rican independence through violence. And he was commuted today, and that liberal compared this guy to our forefathers, said he is the same as our forefathers.
I'm not overly familiar with this case, so
I wasn't until today.
Some of my comments, I'm going to try to keep some of my comments limited because I don't like to overly comment on things that I don't have at least a decent grasp on. However, he said he was fighting for Puerto Rican independence by bombing a foreign country?
Yes, the United States was trying to overthrow his country. He was fighting for the independence of Puerto Rico. I don't know all the specifics.
Foreign soil.
Yeah. But it's the point of this liberal that compared...
I'm trying to figure out where the likeness is.
I don't either. I don't either.
Because the Boston Tea Party was one specific event. There were different events that did occur, but the Boston Tea Party was one specific event. The Boston Tea Party did not have anything to do with the overthrowing of British rule in America, in the American colonies at that point. It didn't have anything to do with overthrowing it. It had to do with protesting taxation without representation. It was a specific event related to a specific problem that the colonists were having with the King of England. That's what that had to do with. And now, yes, that was a precursor to the American Revolution, and we did end up going to war. And hey, this is where we are now, which is fine. But don't liken those two. They're nowhere near fucking close. We didn't go over to England and detonate numerous bombs on foreign soil. We protested on our soil. We didn't detonate anything to injure or harm other people. We lit fire to a fucking cargo ship and dumped tea into the fucking harbor. And yeah, we did try to pass the blame off on the Indians. Yeah, I know. We were assholes too. I'm not going to say we're innocent, but
No, it wasn't. We were trying to. It's covert operations. I mean, when you go into certain areas and you're going in covertly, you don't go dressing up, out of the place.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, guerrilla warfare, essentially.
Yeah, that's basically what they were doing.
It's subversion. I mean, Christ. I mean, our special forces do it now. I mean, they dress up as one group to go after them. Pretty much the CIA's bread and butter. Oh, shit. Did I just leak state secrets? Fuck. Hey, you know what? Manning got off, so I should be good.
I really don't want to know if Manning got off.
Was it? I'm sorry. I'm going to go down that road. That's not even.
What pissed me off about that whole thing with that sex change, I don't care that he was given it, or she, whatever, was given a sex change. What I am pissed off about is we paid for the fucking
Watch
thing.
Your pronouns.
Well, at the time, it was a he.
What do you think we're paying for now with Obamacare? I mean, in all honesty.
Oh, no, but
the healthcare program now.
She was in prison, convicted of, leaking classified documentation, and then mandated that we pay for a sex change, and has tried to commit suicide 2 times now since then.
So she was successful at gaining attention?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, you know my stance on a suicide attempt. A failed suicide attempt is a successful attention-getting attempt. Because if you're really going to do it, you're going to do it. I mean, come on, you and I have been around the block.
Yeah, but it's also not uncommon. It's not uncommon for people who get a sex change to then regret it and commit.
And have a psychotic break? Yeah. No shit.
It plays hell on the psyche. And I'm not trying to... Is there people that maybe are born in the wrong body? Yes. I'm not denying that. But we shouldn't be handing out sex change like candy.
Okay, you know what? Honestly, this wasn't a tangent that I was thinking we were going to go down tonight. But now I think we do. Because honestly, I think that your viewpoints on this are fairly similar, if not identical to mine. And I do want to make this very clear to our readers, because this is, not our readers, our listeners, because this is such a hot topic item in American society, actually globally. Okay? It's nothing against, there are people who truly identify they were born with one set of sexual organs or genitalia. That's what was placed on their birth record. That's what essentially they started their life out as, but it never fit them. They identified as the opposing gender. So they were born with a vagina, but they always felt like they should have had a penis. They were born with a penis, but always felt like they should have had a vagina. Okay? That is a true medical condition. I have no problem with that. Okay? There is more than adequate documentation, scientific study. Those people that transition, that truly transition, you know who knows? The people closest to them. That's who knows. Beyond that, it's if they choose to state it, whether to additional people or to the public or whatever it is. But they truly embrace that other side, that mentality, that lifestyle, whatever the case might be. So these people, they would have been already in the bathroom with you. And unless you look between their legs, and they didn't have that part of the surgery done, which not all of them do, you wouldn't know unless you actually looked up the skirt or pulled down their pants on them. You wouldn't freaking know.
Look up the dino skirt.
All of this SJW bullshit with this bathroom thing and this, that, and the other thing, that's all these people that they don't know what they want to be. They want to be able to play both sides of the fence. They want the whole world to bow down to them, and they're saying that now there's something like 70 to 90 different genders? No, there's fucking not. It's not. It's not there. There's not even enough chromosomes in the DNA of humans for that to exist. There's only a certain number of variations that we can actually have. That's it. And they are medical conditions. I'm not trying to play that down. I've got people in my family that are afflicted with these. I'm not trying to play that down. What pisses me off is people publicizing upon an actual true thing. Now, do I have a problem with my premiums for healthcare going to a transgender for gender reassignment surgery? A true transgender? Absolutely fucking not. I have no reservation about that, just the same as I have no reservation about cancer treatment. I have no reservation about HIV treatment. Doesn't faze me in the least. It's a medical condition. For the people that want to play, you want to play a fucking game? Pony up your own goddamn money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay? That's all there is to it. All right? I've got nothing against the LGBT community.
QRS, TUV, WX, Y, and Z.
Well, and you know what? Yeah, they keep fucking adding. I mean,
I've said it. I've said it multiple times. They get a better name because that thing is LGBTQ. Just come up with a better name.
But it originally started out as the LBGT community, from what I can remember. Lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender. Okay? So you were a woman interested in women. You were a guy or a girl interested in both sides. You were a guy only interested in guys. Or you were in the wrong body, so to speak. Okay. That covered the whole arena. And then all of a sudden, we've got 16 other freaking things. We've got non-binary. We've got, now all of a sudden they've got a whole terminology. You know they have a whole terminology for us? Did you know that one? No, actually, we're called, CIS, CIS, which is we are a male who identifies as male and wants to be with females. So rather than just calling us by our pronoun that we've always had, they gave us a whole new one now. It's like, okay, so how is that not exactly what you're yelling at us about? I mean, you're telling me that if I use the wrong pronoun with you, it's insulting, but you came up with a whole new pronoun for me to replace the one that I already identified with? I mean, isn't that kind of like me using a derogatory term with you? Like, what fucking planet did you fall out of?
I know.
Like, seriously. In any case, going back to the original thing, I don't know how much time we got left. How much time we got?
About 10 minutes.
Okay, because there was something I wanted to touch on with this whole Manning thing. Did you hear the debate that was brought up in relation to Snowden, the Snowden case?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
Did you hear about the debate that was brought up in relation to the Snowden case?
I've heard some people talk about it.
Okay. From what I read, from what I heard, all right, her sentence was commuted. Now, she was convicted. She was tried. She was convicted.
And people died.
Leaking classified information and violation and blah, 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 blah. Well, now her sentence has been commuted. So everybody's asking, not everybody, but a lot of people were asking, okay, well, wait, hold on. What about Snowden? He's still on the top wanted list. He's still listed as, charges for espionage and all the rest of this. What's the difference? I mean, you essentially just said that it's okay for what she did, or he did, whatever. You'd have to tell me what she or he identifies as right now, because I don't know.
Yeah.
But what's the relation to what Snowden did? And I'm kind of on the fence about it, because the official position, at least what I heard, the official position was that she was arrested. She was put on trial. She did end up admitting to and was found guilty and did do some time for her crime, whereas Snowden fled the country and has been living in exile in a foreign nation. So he hasn't even answered for his crimes yet. And that's the reason why he would not be eligible for any type of presidential intervention on his case. Well, kind of on the fence about it for the simple reason of, one, given the past precedent up until today of the U.S. government, what recourse did he actually have to be able to do what he did?
He tried going the proper route, too.
Yes, he did. And he was essentially snowballed for it. So what other route did he have? I mean, as far as he knew, his information at the time was there was no other recourse. Second of all, you're going to say that, okay, he didn't answer for his crimes. Well, okay, I do agree that in the American court of law, he has yet to answer for his crimes. However, he did leave his country, give up everything, go halfway around the world to a foreign country, hoping that he would be given asylum, and then live in an airport terminal because if he stepped 1 foot too far one way or 1 foot too far the other way, he was a criminal automatically. So he was stuck in a state of limbo for, months before he was given any type of official status to be able to do anything else. And he's been living in, essentially, he's been a recluse, and he's been living in hiding for fear of retribution ever since he took the steps to leak these documents. She leaked documents, was arrested, was tried, was sent to jail, and that was it. So she got gender reassignment surgery, she got free health care, she got 3 square meals a day, doesn't have to provide for herself, Uncle Sam's giving her everything. He's not getting any of that. So I will agree that he didn't answer for his crimes in the American court system. However, I will not agree with the fact that he has not suffered for his crimes. Because, in a sense, he has. Just my take on it.
Yeah, it's... What kind of pisses me off is they're going to throw this big hissy fit over WikiLeaks, screaming it's Russia, 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 and yet... But yet they or Obama goes and commutes where this guy, commuted the sentence of a person convicted of leaking information to WikiLeaks.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's a complete double standard. I mean, he, for lack of a better way of putting it, I mean, he's doing everything he can in his last little bit in office to screw shit up.
Oh, he's trying to screw this country over the best he can. It's unbelievable. On his way out, he's trying to knock over as many doors as he can. It's unbelievable.
I'll move the van up.
I'm just absolutely flabbergasted of how much damage he wants to do on the way out.
The Trump administration, before it even takes place.
Yeah. He's trying to put as many obstacles in the way.
Look at it when you get home, sweetie, okay?
So.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying. I mean, the shit with Cuba, the stuff with the commuting of the sentences,
the Cubans didn't vote enough for Hillary in Florida, so he's going to punish them by taking away their way in out of a communist country.
Well, I mean, see, and honestly, that's another one that I'm kind of on the fence about, because on the one side, I don't think we ever should have made an agreement to begin with. It's still a communist nation. It's still suppressing their people. It hasn't changed anything from the stance that we had for the past couple of decades. So why all of a sudden are we going to completely change our stance without them changing anything?
Right.
I think that was a complete bullshit move to begin with, okay? On the flip side of that, I can see the other side of the argument on why would one country's immigrants essentially get a preferential status to another side, because the argument could be made that Muslims in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, okay, in these ISIS-controlled areas, they are also living underneath a dictatorship regime. So why shouldn't they also be afforded the same right to where, if they put one foot on sovereign U.S. soil, they are automatically a U.S. citizen? I mean, what is the difference? And that's where I can kind of see that argument where it's like, you know what, it sounded like a good idea. It was a good idea at one point in time, but the world dynamics have changed. You know, if you want to claim, I mean, we have a whole process for claiming a political asylum. We have a whole process for claiming asylum from a dictatorship regime. I mean, we've gotten how many people from South America, from the Middle East, that have claimed that status and have become naturalized U.S. citizens going through the process. So I can
Yeah, but
see
we're
both
talking
sides of it
about
to an
going
extent.
from, Cuba they were killing their residents, their citizens, to you don't have a good enough job.
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, they both got their own. I mean, one side's doing it for one reason, one side's doing it for another reason. But the argument could be made both directions. That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, we never should have made. Well, this was a raw deal for the United States. I mean, if nothing else, one of the very first things that should have been required for this deal, and I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit selfish because of my state of residency, but that fucking bitch, Shakur Badur, whatever the fuck her name was, from the Black Panther Party that killed that state trooper.
No, there was an agreement reached on that.
In Cuba.
There was an agreement.
Really? I have yet to see her in court in New Jersey.
They don't have to turn her over.
So, in other words, we bent over and took it, and that trooper's family will never get justice, and that criminal will remain at large.
And I hate to do this to you. We actually are out of time. Show goes when we're having fun.
I am so glad. 36 hours. Fuck that asshole.
Exactly.
Wait till he's out. This is better than fucking waiting for New Year's.
All right, everybody. You've been listening to the Southside Much So with the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash. I will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I will have Russ from Veritas Projects calling in at 11 o'clock. So be there right here on SHR Media. Stay tuned for Ken the Conservative. Have a great night. You've been listening to The Reaver of Common Sense with its host, Jersey Joe. You can tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on hppundit.com and shrmedia.com.